This is the man for Modesto. Russian naval ships attacked Ukrainian naval ships. They wounded 6 Ukrainian citizens, and they seized these 3 ships. Why is that interesting to the world? Why is that interesting to the United States? And why is that interesting to Israel? In the way of some prophecies received over the years by American Christians living in Ukraine, I'm going to explain why that's important. Here in Ukraine, it's well understood that the war in eastern Ukraine is being fought against Russians. That Russian soldiers are there, that munitions and weapons are being provided by Russia. That Russia moves tanks captured from Crimea through Russian national sovereign territory and then back into Ukraine as to provide armor to the rebels fighting inside Donetsk and Lugansk. But here are some things that people don't understand in the West. One is that it very much looks like the New World Order in progress. They are supporting only the Russian Orthodox Church. In other words, the traditionally state-controlled church. In the West, when I grew up, we understood that communism was a totally atheist nation. This is not totally true. Free reign was given to the Russian Orthodox Church. They did whatever the government told them. They spread whatever kind of information, whatever kind of teachings. Things like the 401k churches in the West have been giving, whatever the government says, well, those leaders are appointed by God, so you have to obey it. This, of course, is not true. Paul, Peter, John, and basically all the apostles were beaten at different times because they went against what man was telling them to do, and instead they chose to do what God told them to do. So, what are these prophetic messages that Christians have been receiving? When I flew here, just a little more than 6 years ago, I was praying on the plane, and I fell asleep. I saw a vision. I saw the nation of Ukraine. There would be a 7-year Christian revival, that Christianity would increase and spread through the nation. That has been happening in my time here, prior to my arrival here, but also during this time. Christianity has been spreading. I also saw that there would be an increase in the economy of Ukraine. That has definitely happened. Farmers came together during my time here, and they barter for better prices on the world market. This brings cash into Ukraine. Some of the laws and corruption have been reduced a little bit, primarily under the Christian President Yushchenko, and the economy increased. Foreign capital investment came in. Once Poroshenko came in, some of that started to go out again, because as it turns out, Poroshenko has been more corrupt even than his evil predecessor, Yanukovych, who was a lapdog to Putin, same as the current president of Belarus. So, I saw this revival, and then I saw like a camera view sweep down, going from north toward the south. And when I reached the sea in the south, which is the Black Sea, I saw the waves rise up and begin to crash against the land. And I understood that this symbolically represented a war, that a war would rise up. And as I saw these waves crashing against the sand, eroding away the beach, well, the land was withstanding it, but the waves were rising up and pounding into the sand. And what I understood was that this would be a war. And however it would look to the world, that what this war really was a war between people who wanted God to be first and people who wanted money to be first. Now, more recently, I posted a video of a vision which I received after one of the Minsk Accords, and Vladimir Putin gave a speech in which he said, "The Russian people, we desire peace in Ukraine." Now, as far as the Russian people, I believe that is true. As far as Vladimir Putin and his cabal of secret society Satanists, I do not believe that is true, not for a moment. And the Holy Spirit showed me that very same night in a dream. I saw a vision. I've posted it. I've made some graphics, and I've posted this video somewhere on the internet. It's called Vision. Kiev sieged from the east, Los Angeles sieged from the south. And that is basically what I saw. I saw 2 maps, one and then the other. In the first map, I saw an army in the shape of a crescent. And this is important. In the shape of a crescent on the east side of the city of Kiev. That map went away, and then I saw a map of Los Angeles in Southern California on the west coast of the United States, and I saw another crescent moon like this. Now, only recently I found, someone sent me this link many years ago, otherwise I never would have heard of this. It's a video posted in Russian language. And I found it in my spam. I didn't know there was a spam folder. YouTube sent this thing to spam, and I went and I watched this video. It's from a man named Philip Barnett, a missionary who had a church in the northern part of the city here in Kiev. He received a 5-part vision. He had this vision in 2009, 5 years before eastern Ukraine was invaded. He asked God, what will happen to Ukraine in the end times? And God showed him that Russia would invade from the east, that Russia would keep encroaching and seize up pretty much the eastern half of Ukraine all the way to the Dnieper River. And so now they're only in Donetsk, they're only in Lugansk. But they have signed 26 separate peace agreements, and they have been broken every time. Vladimir Putin does not want peace. He makes sure those things are broken. In the Minsk Accords, the access to the Sea of Azov through a strait on the eastern side of the Crimean Peninsula, this access was guaranteed both to the Ukrainians and to the Russians in the Minsk Accords. However, the Russians took it upon themselves to blockade it. And when some Ukrainian ships tried to go through, they attacked those ships and seized them. It is the first time under the color of their own flag that the Russians have committed acts of war against sovereign Ukraine. So this is definitely an escalation of what has been happening. They have justified, of course, Putin always blames everyone else the same way Hitler did. His tactics very much parallel what Hitler is doing. Hitler said, oh no, we want peace, everything's fine. He told national leaders, oh, we want peace, we want peace. This is just, these are our people over here in Prussia. These are our people over here. We have to seize this land. It's our national right. And that's what Putin is telling his people. We need Northern Ossetia. It's Russian people in eastern Ukraine. Yeah, because after World War II, they displaced the local Ukrainians and moved in Russian people. And then, more recently, they made sure those people had Russian passports. They just came in and started giving Russian passports. Here's your passport. You need a passport? You want one? Here you go. And it's how they did it. Oh, so there are a bunch of Russian people in here. So that's how we're going to defend it. I worked in Sloviansk. There's a lot of disinformation. The Russians use so much disinformation. It's everywhere you turn. It's everywhere you turn. I want every Christian and anybody even living in Israel, you need to go and see this prophecy from Philip Barnett. I will leave a link in this video, and it's called the Azov-Mena prophecy. And basically he saw that eventually the Soviet Union would reform, and it would consist of Russia proper, Belarus, and the eastern occupied parts of Ukraine. And once he had captured the Dnieper River, and so this exposes Putin's purpose. Philip Barnett received this vision, and he saw that they would move the Belarusian army down this river in order to attack Israel. As we're moving into this end time, the Satanists that control the governments and have the ability to order armies on the march, they want to destroy anybody who says, Jesus help me, Jesus stand before me, Jesus go across the tops of the marigold trees, the tops of the cedars, and ride out before me, because my trust is in you, and I know that if you are with me, none can stand against me. And this is who they fear. They fear anyone who will pray to Jesus. They want to destroy the United States. As I saw, the invasion of Ukraine is deeply and integrally connected to the eventual attacks on the United States. Now this man, Barnett, he saw also this crescent shape in his visions, that nuclear missiles landed in a crescent shape. And the Holy Spirit explained to him, this crescent shape is symbolic of who is behind this. Who uses this crescent shape? Well, we know there are stories in the Bible about people who had crescent pendants on their camels. Gideon rode out and destroyed them, destroyed their armies. We know that in the symbol of Baphomet, they have a crescent moon and a star. We know that on the logos of many major international brands, they have something that looks like a crescent and something that looks like a star. So these Satanists, they love this crescent. When Barnett prayed, the Holy Spirit told him, this crescent represents who is behind us, and it is the Rothschilds. That this is a satanic agenda, that they are moving to set up what they call a new world order, something commanded to them in the satanic Bible. It is a satanic plot, and they must, because they fear greatly. Their demons that work with them, they think they control the demons, but it's the demons who control their thoughts, so that they will then think, I'm in charge, when they aren't. It is like in the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the ladies are kind of manipulating the man, and he thinks he's in charge, right? The demons manipulate the Satanists, and they think they're in charge, but the demons are in charge. So it's all a satanic agenda, and our fight is against powers and principality. And it is time for all the prayer warriors to stand up and make sure that you know the voice of God. So I encourage you, go look at these prophetic messages that the Lord has shown me in dreams and visions, that what happens in Ukraine is going to happen, tied to what will happen in the United States. And what happens here in Ukraine and Eastern Europe is also going to reflect on what happens to Israel, according to what God has shown Philip Barnett. This is the man from Modesto, reminding you, as always, to pray or be defeated.